Your brain is hardwired to sabotage you, and I bet you haven't even realized it yet. That constant, I'll do it tomorrow feeling isn't just a bad habit. It's a glitch in your mental operating system that's silently destroying your potential day after day. Ever wonder why you can binge watch an entire season in one sitting but can't focus on that important project for more than 5 minutes? That's not a coincidence, it's neurological warfare happening inside your skull right now. Here's the truth. Most productivity gurus won't tell you. Chronic procrastination isn't laziness. It's not about motivation. It's not even about time management. It's a sophisticated neural mechanism that's been perfected over millions of years of evolution, and it's specifically designed to prioritize immediate pleasure over long-term success. Think about it. When was the last time you actually completed something important ahead of deadline? When was the last time you didn't feel that rush of last-minute panic driving you to finally take action? The modern world has created a perfect storm for your ancient brain. Constant notifications, endless entertainment, and information overload have hijacked your dopamine system and rewired your neural pathways for immediate gratification. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and execution, is fighting a losing battle against your limbic system's insatiable hunger for quick hits of pleasure. But here's where it gets interesting. Once you understand the neural mechanics behind procrastination, you can hack the system. Today, we're going to completely dismantle your broken productivity engine and rebuild it from scratch. Not with cute little productivity apps or trendy morning routines, but with science-backed neural reprogramming techniques that literally change how your brain processes tasks and rewards. The question isn't whether you can beat procrastination. It's whether you're ready to upgrade the fundamental operating system that's been running your life on autopilot. Are you prepared to take control? Or will you keep letting your primitive brain call the shots? Smash subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's begin. 1. The science behind procrastination. Your brain is literally working against you right now, and understanding this neural warfare is the first step to winning the battle. Let's get something straight. This isn't about you being lazy. It's about your brain being hijacked by evolutionary mechanisms that were never designed for the modern world. Think about it. Your ancestors never had to choose between finishing a quarterly report and checking Instagram. The neural circuitry we're dealing with evolved for immediate survival, not long-term productivity. Ever wonder why you feel that instant relief when you decide to push something important to tomorrow? That's your brain's dopamine reward system throwing a party. Every time you delay a challenging task, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter triggered by food, sex, and drugs. You're not procrastinating, you're getting high on avoidance. This creates what neuroscientists call a reinforcement loop, a neural pathway that gets stronger each time you repeat the behavior. The more you procrastinate, the more your brain rewires itself to crave that immediate relief, creating a self-perpetuating cycle that becomes harder to break with each repetition. Here's where it gets fascinating. Brain scans of chronic procrastinators show heightened activity in the amygdala, your brain's fear center when faced with challenging tasks. Your brain literally processes important work as a threat, triggering the same fight-or-flight response you'd have facing a predator in the wild. And what's the easiest way to eliminate a threat? Avoid it completely. Meanwhile, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-control, gets overwhelmed by this threat response. The rational part of your brain that understands long-term consequences gets drowned out by the primitive limbic system screaming for immediate comfort. This explains why 88% of the workforce admits to procrastinating at least 1 hour daily, costing companies billions and individuals their dreams. It's not a character flaw, it's brain chemistry. The most counterintuitive discovery, procrastination has almost nothing to do with the task itself. It's about your emotional relationship with the task. Your brain isn't avoiding the work, it's avoiding the negative emotions it associates with the work. Think about this. Have you ever procrastinated on something you were genuinely excited about? Of course not. Your brain eagerly pursues pleasure. This means the key to defeating procrastination isn't forcing yourself to work harder. It's rewiring your neural circuitry to associate important tasks with positive emotions instead of negative ones. This is why typical productivity advice fails miserably. Just do it doesn't address the fundamental neural mechanisms driving your behavior. You can't willpower your way through a biological process any more than you can will yourself to change your heart rate. What you need is a complete neural restructuring, and that's exactly what we're about to dive into. Are you ready to hack your brain's operating system and take back control of your productivity circuits? 2. The neural intervention method. Now that you understand the brain science sabotaging your productivity, let's hack the system and take back control. This isn't about cute productivity tips. We're rewiring your neural pathways at their core. The game changer here is what I call neurological deadline detonation. Your primitive brain responds dramatically to urgency, so we're going to weaponize this response in your favor. Instead of setting vague deadlines weeks away, which your limbic system immediately dismisses as future you problems, we're creating a series of micro-urgencies that trigger your brain's emergency response system. Here's how it works. Break down massive projects into 25-minute micro-sessions with artificial but non-negotiable deadlines. This isn't the standard Pomodoro technique, it's neurological reprogramming. When you set a 25-minute countdown timer, your amygdala perceives it as an immediate threat requiring action. The key difference? This threat is actually beneficial, forcing your prefrontal cortex to take command from your pleasure-seeking limbic system. This technique increased productivity by 37% in a Stanford study by creating what neuroscientists call urgency tunneling, a state where your brain temporarily suspends its procrastination circuitry. But we're just getting started with your neural reconfiguration. The second breakthrough intervention targets your brain's reward pathways directly. Remember how procrastination gives you a dopamine hit? We're going to hijack this exact mechanism, but redirect it toward productivity instead of avoidance. Create what I call completion triggers, small, satisfying actions that mark task completion. This could be physically checking items off a list, using a specific sound effect when you finish something, or even a mini celebration ritual. These triggers create a dopamine payload that your brain starts craving, effectively addicting you to task completion rather than avoidance. One of my clients, a chronic procrastinator who hadn't finished a major project in 3 years, implemented this system and completed more in 6 weeks than in the previous 6 months. Why? Because we weren't fighting his brain chemistry, we were redirecting it. The third neural intervention focuses on environment reconfiguration. Your physical space isn't neutral, it's either reinforcing procrastination or productivity. Each visual cue in your environment triggers specific neural pathways. That phone sitting next to you? It's activating dopamine circuits just by being visible. Strategic environment re-engineering means removing all procrastination triggers from your workspace while embedding productivity cues. This isn't just about distraction removal, it's about creating a space that neurologically primes your brain for focused action. The most powerful part of this system? The neural cascade effect. Once you successfully implement these interventions, your brain builds new neural pathways that strengthen with each repetition. You're not just getting more done, you're literally rebuilding your brain's relationship with productivity. Are you starting to see how we're not fighting procrastination? We're systematically dismantling and rebuilding the neural architecture that causes it in the first place. The procrastination battle isn't won through willpower. It's won through strategic neural reconfiguration. And you're about to discover exactly how to implement this system in your life, starting in the next 5 minutes, not tomorrow. 3. The immediate implementation system. Theory without action is just mental masturbation. Let's transform everything we've learned into a bulletproof implementation system you can deploy in the next 15 minutes. The first weapon in your arsenal? The micro-commitment protocol. This isn't about grand promises or ambitious plans. It's about neurologically tricking your brain into action through commitments so tiny your resistance mechanisms don't activate. Here's the hack. Your brain's procrastination circuits operate on an all-or-nothing principle. They overwhelm you with the entirety of a task, triggering avoidance. But there's a neural loophole. Commitments under the 5-minute threshold rarely trigger resistance. Try this right now. Commit to working on your most avoided task for just 2 minutes. Not an hour, not 30 minutes. 2 minutes. This bypasses your brain's threat detection system while activating your initiation circuits. The magic happens when those 2 minutes inevitably stretch to 10, then 30, as momentum builds and your brain shifts from avoidance to engagement. One of my friends used this technique to finally start writing his book after 3 years of procrastination. Within 6 weeks, he had completed 80% of the manuscript using nothing but these micro-commitments as his entry point. The second implementation tool is the productivity cascade system. This exploits a neurological phenomenon where completing even tiny tasks creates a dopamine surge that primes your brain for continued action. Build what I call a success ladder, a series of ridiculously achievable tasks that escalate in difficulty. Start with something so simple it's impossible to fail. Open document, write 1 sentence, send 1 email. Each completed step triggers dopamine release, creating unstoppable momentum that carries you into the harder tasks. This isn't positive thinking, it's strategic neurochemistry. You're manufacturing the exact brain state that makes continued productivity nearly automatic. The third implementation breakthrough is neurological priming. Your brain operates on cues and triggers, so let's weaponize this system for instant. Task initiation. Create an unmistakable starting ritual, a specific sequence that signals to your brain that work mode is activating. This could be a particular soundtrack, a physical movement, even a specific phrase you say out loud. When repeated consistently, these cues bypass your conscious resistance and activate productivity circuits automatically. One client used a specific 30-second song intro as her trigger. After 2 weeks, just hearing those notes caused her brain to automatically shift into deep work mode without the usual resistance. She slashed her project initiation time from 45 minutes of procrastination to under 60 seconds. Finally, implement external accountability architecture. Systems that make procrastination more painful than action. Your brain evolved in tribal settings where social standing was crucial for survival, making social accountability your most powerful motivator. Find an accountability partner with similar goals, or use commitment devices like Beeminder or Stick K that impose real penalties for inaction. When procrastination carries immediate consequences rather than delayed ones, your brain's calculation shifts dramatically. The brilliance of this 4-part implementation system is that it works with your brain's natural wiring, rather than against. You're not fighting procrastination. You're reconfiguring the neural environment that makes procrastination possible in the first place. This isn't about motivation or inspiration. It's about strategic neurological manipulation, becoming the puppet master of your own brain chemistry rather than its victim. Are you ready to implement this system right now? Not tomorrow. Not in an hour. Now, because your brain is already formulating reasons to postpone even these solutions to procrastination. Can you recognize that irony? The question is, will you take control of your neural circuitry, or will you let it continue controlling you? Let's cut through the bullshit. What we've just covered isn't just another productivity hack or time management system. It's a complete neural revolution that rewires the fundamental circuitry driving your actions and inactions. The procrastination trap isn't a character flaw. It's a sophisticated neurological mechanism that's been silently hijacking your potential. But now you understand the battlefield. You've seen behind the curtain. You know exactly how your brain has been working against you all these years. More importantly, you now possess the neural intervention tools to fight back. The neurological deadline, detonation technique that hacks your brain's urgency response. The reward pathway redirection system that makes productivity more addictive than avoidance. The micro-commitment protocol that bypasses your resistance mechanisms. The productivity cascade system that creates unstoppable momentum. Here's the brutal truth most productivity experts never tell you. Knowledge without implementation is completely worthless. You can understand every neurological mechanism we've discussed today, but if you don't implement these systems right, now your brain will default back to its hardwired procrastination pathways within hours. That's not a scare tactic. It's neuroscience. Neural pathways strengthen or weaken based on usage. Every minute you delay implementation is another minute reinforcing the exact circuits we're trying to rewire. The question isn't whether this system works. The neurological research is irrefutable. The real question is whether you'll take the immediate action required to break out of procrastination's gravitational pull. Will you continue to be held hostage by primitive brain circuits that evolved for a world that no longer exists? Or will you seize control of your neural architecture and redirect it toward the future you actually want? This isn't about becoming more productive. It's about reclaiming your life from the biological mechanisms that have been making decisions for you. Look, if this video hit you like a neurological wake-up call, don't let that momentum fade. Hit that like button right now before your brain's procrastination circuits kick in. It takes less than a second, but creates that first micro-commitment we just talked about. Want to continue rewiring your mental operating system? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We're building a community of neural optimizers who refuse to let biological programming limit their potential. Remember, your brain is rewiring itself with every decision you make. The battle for your potential starts now, not tomorrow, now. I'll see you in the next one.